Alright, what's up, folks? Rich Van Tassel back with you, finishing up our game picks for Week 12 of the NFL season. The Seattle Seahawks, 6-4, 3-2 on the road, travel to San Francisco to play the 49ers, who are 1-9, 1-4 at home. Injuries first for the visiting Seahawks. Luke Jocko, guard. Jimmy Graham, tight end. Bobby Wagner, linebacker, questionable. Shaquille Griffin, cornerback. Mike Davis, running back, doubtful. For the 49ers, Tank Carradine, defensive end, on injury reserve. Trent Brown, offensive tackle. Trent Taylor, wide receiver, questionable. Adrian Colbert, cornerback, is out. Let's see if San Francisco turns to Jimmy Garoppolo. I would assume that it's probably time for him. If they do that, they can be a dangerous team. They can start moving the ball a lot more, which would give that defense some help and make them much more competitive. For the Seattle Seahawks, of course, Russell Wilson, 21 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. He's their leading rusher this year, and he doesn't even have 400 yards. It'd be one thing if he had a lot of yards and you say, hey, just our quarterback's doing it like Cam Newton in the past. He doesn't even really have that many yards. So they're going to have to figure that out at some point. Maybe going against the San Francisco 49ers will allow them to get that right. They're going to win this game regardless. I like 24-14. I think even with Garoppolo coming in, there just aren't enough weapons. The offense will just look a lot more proficient when they do that. But Seattle's got to figure out that running game, and I like to keep an eye on those things and the things that they can tinker with while they play a team like the 49ers. The Denver Broncos, 3-7, 0-4 on the road, travel to Oakland and play the Raiders, who are 4-6, 2-3 at home. Oakland certainly still in the playoff race, even though they really had an embarrassing performance last week against the Patriots. The Denver Broncos are turning to Paxton Lynch at starting quarterback. The injuries for the visiting Broncos: Shane Ray, linebacker; Adam Gostis, defensive end; Jeff Heuerman, tight end; Domata Peko, defensive tackle; and Emmanuel Sanders are all questionable. For the Oakland Raiders, David Amerson, the cornerback, is out. The rest are questionable. Corey James, linebacker; Gabe Jackson, guard; Cordero Patterson, and Johnny Holton, wide receiver. As we've said with a lot of teams at 4-6, they're still in the thick of things. Oakland, look, Jared Cook's their top receiver. They have some weapons. It just hasn't really clicked. A lot of it has to do with David Carr being injured, but this offense has too much talent for the way they've played at times. Again, I think the injuries have led to some inconsistencies, and that's been the problem here. With the Broncos turning to Paxton Lynch, that will probably ignite their offense in some levels, but in the end, I think he's going to look a little too sloppy at times. You're going to get some inspired play. You're going to have Oakland maybe on the ropes for a bit early on, but the Raiders will figure it out. I see Paxton Lynch making some mistakes in this game in his first career start, and that is what will be the difference in this one. So look for the Oakland Raiders to turn the ball over on Paxton Lynch at times and come away with a victory. I like 24-14 as well in this one. The New Orleans Saints are 8-2. They've won 8 straight games. They are traveling to Los Angeles to play the Rams, who are 7-3. The Saints are 4-1 on the road. The Rams are 3-2 at home. Injuries for the visiting Saints: Alex Okafor, defensive end, is an injury reserve, out. Ken Crawley and Marshawn Lattimore, both cornerbacks, are questionable. For the Rams, Malcolm Brown, a running back, is out. Robert Woods, a wide receiver, is out. Bryce Hager, linebacker. Lance Dunbar, running back, questionable. Nickel Roby Coleman, cornerback, doubtful. Drew Brees, another guy not getting enough love in the MVP consideration. You look at Brees and you also look at Jared Goff. Now, Drew Brees has just shy of 50 more completions. He's got 49 more completions than Jared Goff. He's thrown 33 more passes than Jared Goff has, but he only has a little over 100 more yards. 15 touchdowns to 5 interceptions for Brees, 16 touchdowns to 4 interceptions for Goff. Now, this is a classic example of the case of Drew Brees has all this pedigree in the league, and Jared Goff is looked at as the second-year starter developing, yet the numbers are very similar, and Los Angeles offense has been sharp for basically the entire season. They've had the struggles here. They struggled a bit last week against the Minnesota Vikings, but it's just very curious that you have those two numbers in this case. Todd Gurley and Mark Ingram, numbers are similar. Ingram's a little better. They both have 8 touchdowns. Ingram has over 800 yards on less carries than Todd Gurley has 791 yards. So a little bit of a difference there, but very similar teams when you look at it. It's just, as we said, New Orleans has the pedigree, and Los Angeles is looked at this young and up-and-coming team. So with this one, both defenses have improved. I like what Wade Phillips has done with the Rams defense. The Saints, I'm not going to go against them. I think they might lose this game, but I've picked against them twice in the past, and they didn't lose this game. But going on the road, getting Los Angeles off a loss, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to pick the Saints. I like it to be high scoring. I like 34-31 in favor of New Orleans. But again, keep an eye on this game. New Orleans, how many games in a row are they going to win? And you have the Los Angeles Rams off a loss. The Jacksonville Jaguars, 7-3, 4-1 on the road, travel to Arizona to play the Cardinals, who are 4-6, 2-2 at home. Injuries for the visiting Jaguars: Patrick Omanah, guard; Jalen Ramsey, cornerback; Jeremy Parnell, offensive tackle; and Donald Payne, linebacker, are all questionable. Allen Hurns, the wide receiver, is out. For the Cardinals, Corey Peters, defensive tackle, is out. Ruby Ford, safety; Britton Golden, wide receiver; Josh Morrow, defensive tackle; and Elijah Penny, running back, are questionable. Jacksonville has really taken some major strides this season. They have won games like this one coming up where you look at it and say, well, the Jacksonville Jaguars of the past, they'd find a way to lose this game. So because they have done that, because they've shown the ability to win these games, I'm going to give them credit in this one. Leonard Fournette playing very well. Blake Bortles, 7 interceptions, a little high. He's had a few fumbles here and there, but for the most part, he's avoided those really, really terrible games. He's had a few of them, but he's gotten the job done. Jacksonville is really improving. Of course, they had that spectacular defense, and the offense is now starting to come along. I will give the Jaguars the benefit of the doubt in this game, and I will say they will go into Arizona and get the victory over the Cardinals. That team is really struggling. They just don't have enough at quarterback. Adrian Peterson has been way too up and down, and there's no reason the Jaguars don't come away with the victory in this one, and that defense is really going to shine. I like the Jaguars 27-13 over the Arizona Cardinals. The Green Bay Packers, 5-5, 2-2 on the road, travel to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers, who are 8-2, 3-1 at home in the Sunday night game. Injuries for the visiting Packers: Corey Linsley, center; Devontae Mays, running back; Morgan Burnett, safety; and Kevin King, cornerback, are questionable. Ty Montgomery, the running back, is doubtful. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Mitchell, the safety, is questionable. The rest are out. Joe Hayden, cornerback; Marcus Gilbert, offensive tackle; Juju Smith-Schuster, wide receiver; and Vance McDonald, the tight end. You have some serious injuries to some key guys for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Juju Smith-Schuster has really come on. Joe Hayden, a solid cornerback, solid professional cornerback, has played well for the Steelers. Of course, he's been a long-time good pro with the Browns, and he's come in and continued that play. Marcus Gilbert, an offensive tackle, so those are certainly serious things to look at. Can Green Bay, with Hundley going in there, and no Aaron Rodgers, you have Ty Montgomery doubtful, Aaron Jones is starting to get figured out in the running game, be able to get the victory against an injured Pittsburgh Steelers team? They have a chance to jump on a wounded Pittsburgh Steelers team. Green Bay will have to be sharp and I'd say almost flawless. No team can be 100% flawless, but as close to flawless as possible early on to keep the pressure on Pittsburgh. They might have a chance, but in the end, the Steelers will come away with the victory. Ben Roethlisberger has quietly been putting together a couple good games here since he had that disaster against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Antonio Brown, of course, another guy who doesn't get enough MVP love with the numbers he puts up. He's going to have a big game, already over 1,000 yards, only 6 touchdowns. I know, only 6, but 70 receptions this year. He's going to play very well, and Le'Veon Bell is quietly starting to get it back together as he creeps to the 4-yard per carry mark. I think Green Bay will have a chance to keep things interesting a little bit early here, but Pittsburgh will come away with it late for a 31-20 victory over the Green Bay Packers.